Welcome to another World History 2 topic walkthrough, brought to you by Mr. Michael, Social Studies teacher. This video is here to help you fill out your lecture notes, understand the big ideas, and maybe even laugh once or twice. So grab your notes and let's get started.
Welcome back, Brainiacs. Today we're diving into one of the biggest glow-ups in human history, the scientific revolution. You know how we went from believing the Earth was the center of everything to realizing we're just one planet spinning around the sun? Yeah, that mental shift was huge. It completely changed how people thought about the world, power, and even themselves. So buckle up. This is the era where science said, "Sorry, church, we're going to need some evidence," and the universe got a whole lot bigger. Next up, let's check out what ideas people were challenging and where all this change began. So here's the setting. It's Europe in the 1600s and 1700s, and this map shows the hot spots where people were absolutely cooking up new ideas. Not in the kitchen, but in science, philosophy, and art. Places like France, England, and the German states became the main character zones of enlightenment and discovery. Scholars, scientists, and thinkers were out here questioning everything, from old scientific beliefs to political power and religion. Basically, this was the era when Europe's brain went into overdrive. It's the ultimate group project that actually worked. Well, mostly. Next, let's check out how people's entire worldview was about to get flipped, starting with one of the biggest debates of the time: how the universe actually works. Alright, let's rewind to before the scientific revolution. Back then, most people believed that everything in the universe revolved around Earth, like literally. The geocentric theory said the sun, moon, and planets were just doing laps around us. And honestly, it made sense at the time. You look up, you see the sun moving across the sky. Boom, case closed. Plus, it fit perfectly with what the Bible and ancient Greek and Roman scholars had taught for centuries. But then, the Renaissance and the Age of Exploration rolled in and started to mess with everyone's heads. People were discovering new lands, new ideas, and new ways to think. That curiosity sparked the scientific revolution, a time when people stopped just accepting what they were told and started saying, "Wait, what if we test that?" Next, let's meet the bold thinkers who dared to challenge that old-school view of the universe and got major side-eye for it. Now it's time for some real main character energy. Enter Copernicus and Galileo. So, Copernicus looks around and goes, "Hold up, what if the Earth isn't the center of the universe?" And boom, he drops the heliocentric theory, saying the planets actually revolve around the sun. That was like the 1500s version of tweeting something super controversial. Later scientists started using math to back him up. And then Galileo comes along like, "Yup, confirmed, the sun's the boss." He makes new observations about planets and totally supports Copernicus. But here's the catch. The church was not vibing with this idea. If Earth wasn't the center, then humanity wasn't the center of God's creation, and that seriously threatened their authority. So they basically told Galileo, "Say you're wrong or else." And, well, he said he was wrong, but secretly kept believing he was right. Next, we'll see how this wave of questioning didn't just stay in astronomy. It spread everywhere, flipping science, politics, and religion upside down. So, all this questioning and discovery led to one of the biggest game changers in history, the scientific method. Before this, people kind of just guessed how things worked or trusted what ancient scholars said. But now, scientists were like, "Nah, let's actually test it." They started by making observations, forming a hypothesis, testing it, and then analysing the results. Basically, they were the original "don't believe it till you prove it" crowd. Francis Bacon was all about experimenting first, thinking later, kind of the hands-on science guy. Then René Descartes rolls in with his logic and math brain saying, "I think, therefore I am." Which is basically him flexing that existence itself is proven through thought. If Descartes had Twitter, that quote would have gone viral instantly. Together, Bacon and Descartes built the blueprint for how modern science works: testing, questioning, and thinking for yourself. Next, we'll see how this new mindset didn't just change science. It completely reshaped how people saw the world and their place in it. All right, now it's time for one of the biggest science icons of all time, Sir Isaac Newton. This man looked at an apple falling from a tree and basically said, "Wait, why'd that happen?" And just like that, gravity got its main character moment. Newton figured out that the same force pulling the apple to the ground also keeps planets in orbit. Every object in the universe attracts every other object. So yeah, technically you and your desk are pulling on each other right now. Weird, right? He also believed the universe worked like a giant, perfectly built clock, with God as the clockmaker, meaning everything runs smoothly because it's designed that way, but God isn't constantly tinkering with it. Think of it like God set the universe to auto mode. And side note, Newton didn't stop at gravity. He also invented calculus just because he could. The guy was 26, and most of us are just trying to figure out our Wi-Fi password at that age. After Newton dropped his law of gravity mic, other scientists said, "Bet, let's see what we can figure out." And just like that, the scientific revolution went viral. The scientific revolution didn't just stop with big names like Newton. It spread like wildfire. Once people started questioning old ideas, everyone wanted to get in on the discovery action. New instruments like telescopes, microscopes, and thermometers made it possible to observe the world in ways no one had before. Andreas Vesalius took anatomy to the next level by actually studying the human body, not just reading what ancient scholars thought was inside. Spoiler alert, a lot of them were wrong. Then along comes Edward Jenner, who basically invents the first vaccine for smallpox. Yep, the OG of the shot saves lives movement. Thanks to him, people started realizing that science could literally protect humanity. The scientific revolution wasn't just about cool inventions. It was about changing how humans understood life itself. Next, we'll wrap it up by looking at how this wave of discovery set the stage for even bigger intellectual revolutions around the world. All right, let's bring it all together. The scientific revolution wasn't just about science. It was about changing how people thought. It took humanity from "the Bible says so" to prove it with evidence. Copernicus and Galileo shook up the universe, literally, by saying the Earth wasn't the center of it all. Bacon and Descartes told people to think for themselves and test everything. Then Newton rolled in, casually inventing gravity and calculus, because apparently sleep wasn't a thing in the 1600s. From there, science exploded. New tools, new discoveries, vaccines, anatomy, all of it. People were asking questions, challenging old ideas, and changing the world. And this new way of thinking, it didn't stop there. It set the stage for the Enlightenment, revolutions, and basically the modern world we live in today. So now that the scientific revolution flipped the script on how people saw the world, let's see how you'd handle a little mind-stretching question of your own. All right, here's your bonus challenge. The scientific revolution wasn't just about discovering planets or writing equations. It was about questioning authority, trusting evidence, and redefining what humans believed about the universe. So think about this. How did that new way of thinking shift power in society? Did science empower individuals to challenge traditional institutions like the church and monarchies, or did it end up reinforcing them in new ways? Use examples, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, to back up your argument. And that's a wrap on the scientific revolution. You've made it through one of the biggest mindset shifts in human history, from just believe it to prove it. If this got you thinking about how science and society shape each other, drop a like and tell me which scientist you'd want to hang out with. Our next stop will be the Enlightenment, where ideas get even bolder.